Good morning, everyone. I am Julianne Sumagka. My report for today is the continuation on Mr. Robert Hardin's report, which is the pedagogical principles as applied to adolescents' learning and development, where it focus on learner-centered principle and application of the principle in the teaching learning process of adolescents. Today, I will be discussing about the principles referring to developmental and social factors and individual differences factors. Developmental and social factors. These factors contribute the mind's growth by systematically rewarding learners for their efforts, where the emotional, intellectual, and physical development are all considered as developmental components in the conception of maturity. These factors, it is categorized into two influences on learning. One is developmental influences on learning, and the other one is the social influences on learning. What is developmental influences on learning? As individuals develop, there are different opportunities and constraints for learning. Learning is the most effective when differential development within and across physical, intellectual, emotional, and social domains are taken into account. The constraints of learning that consider motivational and associative factors were genetics, environmental influences, parenting styles, friends, teachers, schools, and the culture at large are just some factors that combine in unique ways to determine how child develops and a person they will become. The application of the principle in the teaching learning process of adolescents. The cognitive, emotional, and the social development of individual learners and how they interpret life experiences are affected prior schooling, home culture, and community factors. In this development, how individual learners interpret their life that influence into community factors. Another application of this principle is that early and continuing parental involvement in school and the quality of language interactions and the two-way communications between adults and children can influence these developmental areas. Here, the parents play the integral role in assessing their child's learning. The next influences on learning is the social influences. Learning is influenced by social interaction, interpersonal relations, and communication with others. These social interactions is the process of reciprocal influences exercised by individuals over one another. The application on the principle in the teaching learning process of adolescents, the learning settings that allow for social interactions and that respect diversity, encourage flexible thinking and social competence. In here, the social interactions that usually refers to the face-to-face encounter with people are physically present with one another for a specified duration. This can be seen in all walks of life. Respect diversity, including or involving from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds, genders, sexual orientation, and other, which accept people differences but find in common. Flexible thinking is the ability to shift thinking or attention in response to a switch in roles or to new or unexpected situation. Flexible way to solve the problem. Social competence. That involves the ability to evaluate social situations and determine what is expected or required, to recognize feelings and intention for others, and select social behaviors that are most appropriate for the given context, respecting and expressing appreciation for others. The other application of this principle is that positive learning climates. Positive learning climates can also help to establish the context of healthier levels of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Such contexts help learners feel safe to share their ideas, actively participate in learning, and create a learning community. The positive learning climates is that it gives the learners the confidence to share their thoughts and ideas without hesitations. Another factor that we'll be discussing is that the individual differences factor. This can be defined as a personal characteristics that distinguish learners from each other in teaching and learning process. The individual differences can be also categorized by types like physical, intelligence, attitudes, achievements, motor ability, races, interests, sex, references, and etc. Individual differences in learning is that individuals are born with and develop their own capacities and talents, where every individuals grow as they have their own capacities, capability, talents, and uniqueness. The application of this principle is that learning is the most effective when differences in learners' linguistic, cultural, and social backgrounds are taken into account. Educators need to be sensitive to individual differences in general. They also need to attend to learners' perception and degree to which these differences are accepted and adapted to by varying instructional methods and materials. Here, educators also play important role that every educators must be sensitive enough and considerate to see the differences of each individuals or learners in every aspect of their teaching approach. That would be all on my report. Thank you and God bless everyone.